So here we are. So welcome to Signature. Super excited to have you guys here, especially for this presentation. My name is JJ Flowers. I am the Western District Vice President for Membership. And this workshop we're just going to be talking about how to navigate recruitment during this kind of crazy, unprecedented time, especially with COVID and different school rules and just on a chapter basis. Yeah, so like I said, we are going to be brainstorming a lot. So please do not feel afraid to share some ideas. Let me get my screen shared. Cool, can everyone see this all right? Wonderful, wonderful, cool. So yeah, like I said, this is how to navigate digital/distance recruitment. And so, oh, come on, there we are. So just a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is JJ Flowers. I'm your Western District of BPM. I am currently an active member at the Omega chapter at the University of Arizona. And there's my email and phone number. If you guys have any questions during or after this, please feel free and don't hesitate to reach out. And that is me and Snarky, and then Omega's chapter mascot, Horton. Cool, so just to start off, we're gonna kind of go through the recruitment process that most chapters do and should follow. So the first step is like advertising, because you can't get recruiting done unless you have people that know about you. So getting your name out there to everyone that is involved or potentially involved in music or would want to be interested in joining our organization. So after you get the name out there, then it comes down to recruiting. So that's putting together events so that you and actives get to know these potential new MCs, get to learn more about each other and what our organization is about. And then also get a feel if that person is deserving of a bid. The recruiting process is like the biggest difference yet similarity between chapters. Like we all recruit, but we all tend to recruit in different ways, have different like traditions of recruiting, I guess. I don't like that word though. But yeah, everyone recruits differently. And then third, I think, is like an overlooked step, but very important. And I call it retaining and cultivating our MCs. But it's really just making sure that the cultivate comes from them learning about organization and growing into the like sister that you would want them to be. And then the retaining is making sure that they still stay engaged and still want to be involved in our organization. So I have that described here as creating a healthy environment for MCs who want to continue and grow into the best possible sister that they can be. Healthy environment in physical, mental, emotional, all of those ways. So we're gonna go step by step. Here's a couple of like general overview things. So recruiting during COVID, general rules haven't changed, but it is super crucial, more so than ever, that you're super mindful of your members and new potential members' health and safety. That means don't put them into situations that they are either uncomfortable with or put them at a higher risk for injury or disease, especially COVID. So with that, if you're following all your university, county, state, and national guidelines, then you should be fine. Just being mindful is the biggest thing, but those are typically put in place to keep you and other people safe. So as long as you're following that, you should be good. For most people, at least in my opinion, this is going to be achieved through digital recruitment. A lot of schools are moving to a fully online or hybrid online like teaching method. So digital is going to be where I see most of TBS recruitment coming in. However, there are cases where in-person recruitment can happen. And that's up to a chapter, and let me know if that's a thing or a question that you have. But social distancing should always be maintained along with mask wearing and minimal physical contact. By that, I mean like be wary of like playing ultimate frisbee or stuff like that, where something that I'm touching, you then are able to touch and potentially put yourself at risk. Cool. So like I mentioned before, the first step is advertising. And this is, in my opinion, becoming the most difficult part of our recruiting process. I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong or your chapters are different, I feel like a lot of new TBS members come from the freshman class or new members to music who might not know about TBS in the first place. So it's very tough. I know, at least with Omega, a lot of ours comes from marching band and getting our name out there and recruiting through that. If that doesn't happen, that's going to be a very difficult thing, and it's going to be a lot of advertising lost. So just, it's going to be hard to get your chapter's information out there. So the next slide, I'm going to go over 3 ways that I've thought of. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit more and get some of your guys' ideas or what your chapters are thinking about doing. But yeah, so more active social media presence. This is something that the Western District and Nationals are both trying to do. And I think that it's a really effective way. Especially a lot of times someone in TBS or someone in your musical ensembles is going to know someone that's coming in as a freshman and might potentially be interested. So getting your social media presence up there and more in the world allows you and your chapter to put what you do out there and what you enjoy and stand for to the people that might not have seen before. Additionally, there are a lot of resources, at least I would say in most like marching bands, a lot of people get contact information for like new rookies and people that are coming into the band. That's a really good resource. And we can talk more about the recruiting aspect of that, but asking your directors, like your DOBs and your chapter sponsors for just information on people that might be coming in and might be interested is a really great resource that is kind of untapped in a lot of uses. And then putting together graphics to send to your members already involved in the school music. So there are people that might just be doing like a concert ensemble every once in a while, just to like, because they enjoy it and they want to be in it. So putting together some like healthy graphics of people that might already know about the organization, but not have all of the information present, I think is a really great way to like get the information out there. Like just sending it to your directors of those ensembles and like, hey, like, could you share this to your ensemble? It'd be super appreciated. We want to get our name out there and get new members. So those are the ideas that I have. So like I said, the next slide is brainstorming. If you guys have any ideas or questions, now is the time that I would love for you to share them.
I actually thought of a few ideas like that kind of stemmed from your 3 points.
That's
like
awesome.
Along with this more social media presence, I think it would be great for like maybe like class takeovers or something like that. You know, where like each class that went through your chapter can like go through like their process and why they got involved and stuff like that. Just so that I guess it might be more difficult if it's individual people, you know, because like what if a lot of people want to do it, or what if like no one wants to do it?
Right.
And then I also, oh sorry.
No, you're good.
Well, I also thought of along with the information that we get when they join like marching band, I guess. I think it would be great if maybe we sent out like an email, especially because right now like everyone should probably should know like going into college right now that they should be checking their email constantly.
Did you have any other ideas, JT, or were those your 2?
Oh, that was it.
Those are awesome. I really like those ideas. And those do kind of tie into like the recruiting aspect, but the class takeovers is a really awesome thing. And it's a technique that I've seen a lot of bands use. I know that the Pride of Arizona had like section takeovers, and it was a really effective way of getting information out to those new members. As a section leader, I did a section takeover and I had like 3 new rookies reach out through that. So I think that that's a really effective way. And using that email and that information to like get those people your information and like your social media so that they can keep up with it and see if that's something that they're interested in is a really great idea.
Kind of building off of that, I know Alpha Chi has used a lot of emailing in the past. Usually we do it a bit later into the semester, about 2 weeks in, right before we start recruitment. We reach out to our director of bands, and he usually gives us emails of people he thinks would be fit for the organization too, because he gets to know a lot of people through being in the ensemble. So in addition to doing it at the beginning of the year and emailing everyone, repeating that process to people we think might be a better fit that we don't have direct access to has been really effective and helpful for us. That's how I got recruited, actually. So I definitely recommend maybe talking to your director of bands and seeing, or your sponsor, and seeing if they can help you out with something like that.
That's an awesome idea. That's a really, along with the other email, that's a really good point. Thank you both for sharing. Did anybody else have any other ideas or thoughts on it, or any questions? Honestly, I'm more than happy to talk about advertising more so if that's something you guys want.
Something I wanted to share real fast was for in regards to social media, Canva is holding a it's called Canva Design for Change Week, August 3rd through 7th. It's creative design and training workshops for nonprofits. We posted about it on the TBS website, and that's a really great resource to learn how to make your social media more effective. So that's just something that I've been trying to share with people. I can put the link in the chat.
That would be awesome. That's a really great resource. And I know that that's what a bunch of people on our national council use for their social medias, is the Canva, which is just an app that makes graphic design easier, so you don't have to be some wizard. So that's a really great resource too, and I would definitely look into that. And I definitely will be looking into that. If there's nothing else, we will move on with the rest of the presentation. Thank you guys for those awesome ideas. Like I said, there's 1 or 2 more brainstorms, so you still have time. Cool. So what I have as the fun step is recruiting. So after you advertise and get your name out there to people, giving them events and stuff to attend so that they get to know you as members and you as an organization and chapter is kind of quintessential in creating and recruiting good prospects for MCs. So something that I thought was really cool was in Erica Pope, our national VPCM. She had a overture Q&A yesterday, and this is one of the quotes that I pulled from that when I asked about if she had advice for recruiting was, and she said, this is the year that it's your active member storytelling is going to be very important. So you have to put your personal touch into it. Because people aren't necessarily going to get to know you as people like they would with normal ensembles. So putting your personal touch into it, and like, this is my TBS story, because everyone has a different TBS story. I personally came in my freshman year. I didn't think I would ever do something. My dad was a brother of Kappa Kappa Psi, and I had never once in my life even considered the fact that I would end up with TBS. But I was, because I met some really amazing people and got to know them and fell in love with this amazing organization. And like, I know a bunch of people that came in, like my big at Omega was a junior when she joined TBS. So everyone has a different story and a different path of getting where they are in TBS. So putting your story into it and your reason is going to be quintessential. An important note from Erica and from myself, and I touch on this a bit later, is you have to include some digital service events or virtual service events. and that's going to be a huge like barrier to overcome. But as your chapter starts to figure out different ways to also meet that requirement, you should implement those into your recruiting. I think the worst thing that you could do for a new potential MC is get them super interested and excited for the organization by having a bunch of fun game nights and like cook nights and getting them interested in the social aspect. And then when it comes down to time to like, okay, now we have to clean the band room, or now we have to like run this marching band event, or now we have to like help out with this band concert, then it's like work, and that can be very scary and like off-putting. So making sure that those are in there and as a part of the recruiting process is something super essential, especially now. Some successful chapter recruiting weeks that I've seen have one or two like social events, and then one or two service events, and then one or two like fundraisers or profit shares, just so that they get something for every single part of your chapter, and get to know what TBS and what TBS Alpha Chi or TBS Epsilon Kappa or Eta Omega or Omega, what those chapters are about from a foundational level, or Omicron. Sorry, Hannah. So on the next slide, I have some of my recruiting ideas that I've found and thought about. And then after that, we can brainstorm some more that I've missed. So I have a list of virtual events and then socially distanced. So the socially distanced is kind of where I'm lacking. So that's where I'm going to need y'all's help. But some virtual ideas. So pen pals. Erica Pope mentioned this in her overture Q&A, like getting that information of a like rookie and then just writing them and making them feel comfortable, making like ease their nerves of coming into college and coming into like music at a new scary school. It's a super awesome way to get them to know what we're about, and then also make them feel comfortable with us as members and us as a chapter. Something I would say we're all familiar with by now is like Netflix watch parties and virtual game nights. Just getting together, having a good time, messing around, and just, you know, hanging out, getting to know each other. Something that I've had a couple of with my friends and family is like a cooking together, like Zoom call, where it's also the social event that we're doing after this is like, we're going to make Rice Krispies together, something super easy, something super fun, but you just get together and it's like, okay, let's see how everyone's turned out. And like, just, it's a fun thing. Walk and talk is like taking a Zoom call and just going on a walk together and talking about your days and talking about how everyone's feeling and getting to know what people are doing with their lives right now. Virtual dining hall, this is something that we had during our national leadership conference. So it's just an option, but like, let's say you have a game night, you can just have a Zoom room open for people that want someone to eat with and can like just hang and get to know each other and talk to each other and make each other feel welcome and fuzzy. No one likes eating alone. Trivia nights kind of goes in with the virtual game nights. Creating a playlist together, that is an idea that I found and I think would be super cool, is like having a TBS Alpha Chi fall semester recruiting playlist, and everyone gets down and like puts 2 songs that they want and gets to like actively take a part in creating this playlist that you can use and like cherish and everyone can enjoy. And then also like sharing that with other chapters and being like, this is what we came up with. And that also like gets to know different chapters and different members. And then Bob Ross art nights is something that I've done with a friend, and those are super fun. You just get some materials and paint, a paper plate, a canvas, whatever you want. Super fun. Now moving on to the socially distanced. Again, I was scrapped for ideas after the virtual list. So the pen pals here, it's virtual, socially distanced, however you want it to be, but it's a super important thing that I think is a really cool idea. And then in-person yoga. I was trying to think, because earlier I put that disclaimer, like limited physical contact. So I was trying to think like, let's play ultimate frisbee. And then I was like, no, that kind of goes against that. So yoga, I think, is something that you could just go on a little grassy park and like just chill and relax and do some yoga. I'm sure that there's a bunch of ideas, but I was hard pressed to think of any. So that's what I need y'all for. But yeah, so those are my ideas. So now, like I said, we have another brainstorm. So if anybody has any ideas or things that their chapters are using, just so everyone knows, I am sending this out to all your chapter VPMs after. So they'll have all of these lists and resources that we have come up with so that they can implement them into their recruiting process. So on that, is there anything like cool or fun or interesting or creative that your chapters are doing or that you want your chapter to do that I can put on this list? If not, that's totally fine, but I'm sure that y'all are super creative people.
The virtual ones you had on the last slide were really good.
Okay.
But I think the socially distance, I don't think that's feasible, because I don't think it's feasible for us at all, at least, because the people just live so far away. You can't get them to meet up at all. So, but I really do like your virtual ones.
Thank you. Yeah. No, the socially distance was like, so for example, the University of Arizona is having, as of now, is intending on having some in-person
Oh, I see. Okay.
classes. So I want to acknowledge that virtual, I think, is the way to go. I think it's the safest and most easy way for everyone. But I did want to throw a couple in there. You're right. I think the socially distanced ones are much less feasible. But if you do have any ideas for stuff, I don't want to say that I doubt many people use them. I just think that most people are going to lean towards the virtual, like you said. But I want to throw a couple, like one or two in there.
We are also doing like a hybrid thing. Starting like end of August, we're going back to campus. And I know some things that I've been talking to my chapter's UPSP, and we are sending out like a questionnaire to a lot of our like members because we want to make sure that they're comfortable with the things we're planning. But I know one of the things we're considering is because we're such like an outdoorsy town and Flagstaff, like having like a potluck picnic or something on campus where you have the field and everyone has their own blankets. So you're far away from people, but close enough to talk. Everyone brings their own food, but you're outside and you're talking with people and you're seeing them face to face. So it's, I know JJ, you mentioned this in like an earlier like signature thing, like the Zoom fatigue, right? So you're avoiding that in a way. And I know there's also our recreation center on campus is offering a lot of virtual classes. And so, you know, you can all be like, oh, let's all go to the next Zumba class together. And then, you know, we'll have a chat afterwards and just doing things like that together.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I had thought of the potluck picnic, but for some reason I didn't think of the bring your own food thing. So that was like the hurdle that I died on. But that's a really great idea. And also the rec center virtual classes. I really like that idea. I think that would be a lot of fun. And it's kind of a resource that you don't have to create. You just get people to sign up and hang out. So that's a really awesome couple of ideas. Thank you for sharing that, Valerie. I'm sure Alpha Chi is in amazing hands. Is there anything that your other chapters are doing that you, sorry. No, go ahead.
Something we usually do in meetings is like we have someone present on something that they really like to do. So I had an idea, like, what if you had one of your active members give presentations on something they really like. So for example, I would do like gardening. So I would give a gardening class on, you know, because I have a garden in my backyard. So I go out to my garden, I start teaching them about my plants and things like that. And it would be an event kind of like yoga, but it'd be something where you have a member who's passionate about what they're doing. So you can really see a different side of someone on a virtual platform, rather than, you know, just getting like, because I feel like you just have to have a purpose in these meetings, because if you just have a bunch of people in a virtual room with no purpose, they don't really talk about anything. So that's just something to get it going.
That's an awesome idea. I would love to attend your gardening class. If you put that together, send me the link. I will be there.
Definitely.
No, but that's you make a great point, and that's like the best way to get to know someone is through like their hobbies and interests and hearing them talk about something that they love. So that's a really great point, and it also like gives people something new to like think about. That's a really awesome idea. I do really like that. Like I said, if you do that, hit me up. I'll be there. I want to learn about gardening. I have a garden with weeds in my backyard. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I actually just thought about I know a lot of people definitely don't like to read, but I guess asking if anyone wants to start a book club, like even if it's just a small one, at least it might be something for someone. I mean, I love reading, but I also thought like you can even make it a little different and make it like a movie club where like you watch a movie either together or separately on your own time, but then you meet up and like discuss it and stuff. Because like I also love doing that.
That's a really awesome idea too. I've never heard of a movie club, but that sounds like something I would be interested in. Let's do it, JT. I'm down.
I am so down.
No, that's a really great point too. And I think that kind of ties in with the last point too, is like something that you're interested in and like creating a common space. And something that those two things do especially effectively is like inherently between active members and new like potential membership candidates, there's a sense of power that can be scary. So getting to like creating an even playing ground so everyone's like discussing the same book or discussing the same movie or like talking about their hobbies. I think that that's a really, really great idea from everyone. So thank you for sharing those. I will definitely be talking to some of my VPNs about that. Those would be awesome.
Piggybacking off of what you said, I know that it can be scary for like potential candidate to like meet the active body. And so one thing that we did during my candidate semester was that we did an active speed dating. So you would have like time where you would talk to an active member and you guys would get to know each other, and then you'd switch, the active member would move down the line. And I know that with Zoom you can do like breakout rooms, so it would just take the host taking the active member out, putting a new active member in, so that the people who are considering joining get to know the active body, get to know how we are, how we work, what's their favorite thing about um, the organization. Because I mean, you meet a lot of your friends. At least I have met a lot of my now friends through the organization and through just getting to know them.
That's a really great point, and that's something that I think I would like to see a lot of people adopt outside of a virtual setting. Because I feel like a lot of times what happens is, especially with like new MCs, it feels like they're grilling you and like interviewing you for their organization. But in reality, like they want to get to know you as well. So that makes you the interviewee. That's a really great point. I love that. Yeah, these are all really, really awesome ideas. And I think that the virtual format is something that is so like unexplored but has like limitless potential. Like there's so many different things that you could do. Just like trying to brainstorm some social events for signature, like we had like 20 ideas that we had to narrow down to 5, and I've really enjoyed all of them. So yeah, like all of these are super great ideas. Thank you all for sharing. Is there any other ideas that you guys have or any other thoughts that you have before we move on? Awesome. Wow. Okay. That makes me very happy. I love all of those ideas. Watch Omega steal all of them. I'm sorry, friends. So after the brainstorm, I just want to place like a couple things that I want you to be aware of when it comes to recruiting, especially in a virtual format. So this first part kind of talks about what I talked about earlier. Having a bunch of fun social activities is really important, and it kind of eases the tension from what's going on right now and makes a person feel more comfortable with this new part of their life that they're potentially embarking on. But it can create an unrealistic perception of what our organization is and like what it stands for and what we do. Because at the end of the day, we're here, we all love music, we all love each other, and we all love serving the bands. And that's what we stand for. So finding a way to like mix in some of those service events, whether it's like taking time to write a letter to like another band or like some children in the hospital or stuff like that, like just finding a way to introduce them to the service aspect as well, I think is super crucial and extra important right now. Because I feel like this is some of the easiest time to make everything like fun and social. So just be aware of that. Additionally, we are all, especially with chapter meetings, we're kind of numb to like a 2 or 3 hour meeting. We're just kind of used to it. It's important to recognize that new MCs might not be aware of everything that and comfortable with everything that active members are. They might not be prepared for this like long chapter meeting or long like overture module session. So like just being aware of that and their mental and physical health as well. Zoom fatigue is very real, and I'm sure that we'll all be feeling it after this week. I love seeing you all, but staring at a computer screen, I had like a terrible headache last night. So it's just being aware of not only for new MCs, also your active members, but especially them, because this is how they're being introduced to our organization. Along with this, accessibility needs might not be something that we all think about like off the top of our head, but it's super crucial. So with Zoom especially, some people might need closed captioning. They might be hard of hearing where they can't physically take in all of the information that you're giving them. Additionally, leaning more towards Overture, like giving them some extra time to work through some of the activities or modules and like individual one-on-one work time with them. Like these sort of things, learning your new MCs and learning what they need to be the most successful, like potential new sister that they can be is crucial, especially from a VPM or membership committee member viewpoint. And in a virtual format, it brings new challenges for a lot of new people. A lot of people don't take in the same information that they would in a virtual format as they would in person. So just being aware and getting to know your MCs and what they need is super important. So the third step, and what I put as the important step, they're all important. This one I think is just overlooked, is retaining and cultivating these new potential membership candidates. It can be super tough to manage burnout because process is a very strenuous time. And I think that everyone recognizes that. We all kind of like push through it, but we're kind of far removed from that. So being, like I said earlier, being aware of the Zoom fatigue that they can feel and finding ways to combat that is super crucial, especially when working through your MEP, that when you look at it, I know Valerie has submitted hers, like that overture form is ridiculously long and super complicated. So there are people going through that. So just being aware of what they need and how they feel throughout this process is super, super important. So while you're working through their process, mixing in this kind of might seem contradictory to what I said earlier, but mixing in these fun social events that also ensure that they're getting the information from Overture and like your chapter that they need is a super great way to manage this. So I have like two options from what I have seen be effective on the next slide. So we'll go over that. But yeah, this is just a super important step that I feel like can often be overlooked. You get these people to want to join your organization, and then as they're going through process, there's not the same energy. So just making sure that the same energy and same like insight is put into every MC. So like I said, here are some ideas. I think Kahoot is like a super, like it seems silly, but it's a super effective way to like create a fun competitive environment while also testing people and making sure that they know the information. Like Kahoot is so short and quick and sweet that you don't have time to like look up information. And at the end of the day, you don't feel bad if you lose a Kahoot, you know? Some people might. I'm extra competitive, so I definitely get upset when I'm not at least top 3. But I think it's a really effective way. We used it at NLC to just go over Overture and see what areas we were lacking in understanding of, and it's a fun environment that also makes people think, but it doesn't feel like it. I put here education without feeling like it. And then additionally, there's a new resource that the National Council and Erica Pope are working super hard on, and it's the Overture Workbook. So they're making a workbook for potential like new membership candidates, and it's going to have Overture modules so that they can work through it. And there's also going to be a digital version with like the checkboxes and like fillable PDF format. I think that that's going to be a really great resource to give to your MCs and allow them to like work through that environment and this new experience on their own. Especially if they are freshmen, it can be very scary to like have an extra class along with your other 5 or 6. So like I said, finding ways to manage their burnout, because they're going to be extremely burnt out from school. They're going to be super stressed. If they're home with their parents, they might not be getting the experience out of college that they expected or wanted. So just finding ways to like make them feel more comfortable, give them some one-on-one time, and just make them have fun with learning this new information. Because we can all kind of be numb to it, but it's a new experience and it's a lot to take in your first time. So here, another note that I have is just stay positive. It's a super like difficult and scary time for everybody involved. So whether you're an active, an e-board member, district council, national council, new MC, not involved with TBS at all, it's a tough time. So just stay positive, make sure that you're real and honest with everyone, but also make sure and check in on people. Like, make sure your friends are doing okay, make sure your sisters are doing okay, and lean on each other when you need it. Don't be afraid to like, hey JT, I need a good cry right now. Like, can I give you a call? Like, don't be afraid of that. It's what we're all here for. Additionally, know that your district and national councils are also here as well. If you're having any issues, I put my information at the front and bottom of my slideshow. Just send me a text. I'm always here to listen. I'm always here to talk. It's a super hard time. Like, I'm having issues with staying motivated and mental health and stuff like that. So I know everyone is, and that's okay. It's okay to accept that. And it's okay to recognize that, especially while recruiting. Another point that I don't have on here with that is like, understand boundaries with MCs. Like, if someone wants to go through, but it might not be the semester, this might not be the format that they wanted, like, that's okay. Like, just support them in any way you can. Like, hey, we recognize that this is a tough time. We want you, but we want you to do this when you're ready. That can go a long way. So we're all in this together. So just please take care of yourselves and your sisters. And yeah, so that is the end of my part of this presentation. If there's any questions or stuff that you guys want to talk about, I'm more than open to that. I can go back to a slide if you want. But other than that, thank you all for being here. It's been a super fun and also super useful like brainstorming sessions. It's given me a lot of really good ideas. And like I said, I'm sending these slides out to your chapter VPMs so that they have all of these resources that you guys have helped me create. So thank you for being here. Is there any questions or anything that you guys have? Awesome. If you don't have one now, like I said, here's my email, here's my phone. You can send me an email if you want to. You can also text me. I will probably respond much quicker to that. It doesn't have to be about TBS. It doesn't have to be about recruiting. It can be about anything you want. I'm always here to support and help each and every one of you. With that, I will end my screen sharing if I can find it. I can do this. I believe in myself. I can't do this. There it is, finally. Cool. Yeah, also, if you guys want these slides, just let me know, and I can send them to you. But as of now, we have 10 minutes until our social activity. Like I said, we're gonna be making Rice Krispies today, so stay tuned for that. Is this Zoom room 1? I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So it will be in this room. So you're more than welcome to like stay on and mute yourself, turn off your camera, or you're free to go. You don't have to stay here at all.
Don't forget to stop recording.
Yes, I'm going to stop recording now. Thank you, Sarah.